You know that little feeling you get, that pull to return a favor, even when you didn't ask for? Or how about that jolt of panic from an email warning your account's about to be closed? Well, that is not a coincidence. Nope. It's a calculated play. A move from a playbook that targets the oldest, most instinctive parts of your brain. And today, we're going to open that playbook wide open. So here's our game plan. We're going to start with a threat you've definitely seen. Then we'll break down the actual playbook manipulators use. From there, we'll look at the really devastating damage these tactics can cause and dig into the brain science that makes us all so vulnerable. We'll even touch on the blurry lines of the law, before finally giving you the tools to build your own mental shield. Okay, let's start with something we've all seen a million times. An attack that's so common, we almost tune it out. But the reason it works tells us everything we need to know about our own psychology. All right, take a look at this. It looks pretty official, doesn't it? It says it's from the CDC, right in the middle of a health crisis. See how it uses authority and fear to get you to just click without thinking? This is a classic phishing attack. And what's so clever about it is that it's not designed to beat your computer's security, it's designed to bypass your mental security. Look, this isn't about being smart or, not smart. The truth is our brains are kind of hardwired to fall for this stuff in our modern world. So the real question is, why? What is it about these simple tricks that makes them so incredibly effective against our complex minds? So let's pull back the curtain and open up that playbook. We're going to break down the core tactics manipulators use, and you'll see these principles are so deeply baked into how we behave socially that we often don't even notice when they're being used against us. First up, we've got reciprocity. This is basically the social glue of human cooperation. If someone does something nice for you, you feel this almost automatic urge to do something for them in return. It's this powerful, ancient instinct that helps us keep things in balance.
And you see this everywhere, right? That free sample on the street? It creates this tiny sense of debt, which makes it just a little bit harder to walk away without buying something. And those little candies that come with the restaurant bill? Studies have shown that waiters who use them get way higher tips. Each one of these is a small, unsolicited gift that triggers a powerful and honestly kinda uncomfortable sense of obligation.
Next up in the playbook is what we'll call the authority trap. We're taught from the time we're kids to respect and obey authority figures. Parents, teachers, doctors. Our brain loves this as a shortcut. If an expert or someone in charge says so, hey, it must be right. The really powerful thing here is just how easily the symbols of authority can be faked. An email with a slick, official-looking logo can make us immediately compliant. A label that says doctor recommended lets us bypass our own critical thinking. Attackers get this. They know they don't need real authority. They just need to look the part. And the third big tactic is scarcity. It's simple. Things just seem more valuable to us when we think they're running out. This taps right into a primal fear of loss. In today's world, you probably know it as FOMO, or the fear of missing out. You hear it all the time. Limited time offer, only 2 left in stock. These phrases are specifically designed to short-circuit your decision-making. They create this false sense of urgency that pressures you to act now and think later. It is an incredibly effective way to get an impulsive yes. But, and this is really important, these psychological tricks aren't just for marketing or some low-level scams. We have to talk about what happens when they're weaponized. Because when they're used in situations where there's a power imbalance, like in abusive relationships, the results can be absolutely devastating. So just take those same principles we talked about, reciprocity, authority, that manufactured urgency, and imagine them not in some harmless ad, but in the hands of an abuser. They become tools to inflict really profound and lasting harm. And this brings us to a concept called coerced debt. This is when an abuser uses manipulation or threats or even force, leveraging that exact same playbook of psychological pressure to take out loans or credit cards in their victim's name. The fallout from this is just catastrophic. We're talking a completely destroyed credit rating, lawsuits, maybe even losing your home. And the abuse keeps going long after the victim has escaped because it leaves this financial trap that is just incredibly difficult to break free from. So why does all of this work so well? Well, the answer really lies in the fundamental operating system of our own brains. See, we don't have just one way of thinking. We actually have 2, and a lot of the time, they're in conflict. The best way to think about it is like this. You've got 2 systems running in your head. System 1 is the autopilot. It's fast, it's intuitive, it's emotional. It's your gut reaction. Then you have System 2, the pilot. This one is slow, deliberate, analytical. It takes real effort. It's your conscious reasoning. Now, that sense of urgency from scarcity, that compliance from authority, they are all aimed squarely at your autopilot. And this quote just nails the whole strategy. By hijacking our emotions with fear or urgency or authority, attackers keep our minds locked in that fast emotional state. They want our autopilot to react before our logical pilot ever gets a chance to even turn on and ask, hang on a second, does this actually make any sense? Now, logically, you'd think causing this kind of harm would be obviously illegal. But the line between just being deceitful and committing criminal fraud is surprisingly blurry. And it's a gap that our legal system is constantly struggling with. And here's the heart of the legal problem. For a charge like wire fraud to actually stick, prosecutors have to prove not just that someone lied, but that they clearly intended to cause tangible harm, usually to money or property. The challenge is, how do you prove that when the harm is based on psychological manipulation that leads to a bad financial decision? Just being a liar isn't always enough to make it a crime. So to try and bridge this gap, some courts use this idea called the right to control theory. The thinking is that by tricking you, they're depriving you of the vital information you need to make decisions about your own money, and that itself is a form of stealing. It's a pretty clever argument, but it's also controversial and it's not used the same way everywhere, which leaves a lot of victims stuck in a legal gray area. So if the law can be a bit murky and our own brains are hardwired to be vulnerable, what can we actually do about it? Well, the answer is to take this knowledge and use it to build a conscious defense system, to basically give more power to our inner pilot. Let's make this practical. Here are 4 key steps. First, adopt a security mindset. Always ask yourself, how could this be fake? How could someone be manipulating me here? Second, trust but verify. It's totally okay to be skeptical and ask for proof, even if it seems to be coming from an authority figure. Third, the good old common sense check. If an offer sounds way too good to be true, it almost certainly is. And finally, use the tools you've got. Lock down your digital life with things like multi-factor authentication and strong passwords. So there you have it. We've laid out the tactics, the psychology behind them, and the defense. The playbook that was once hidden is now open for you to see. So the next time you feel that sudden rush of urgency or that nagging pull of obligation, you'll recognize the move being played. The real question is, what are you going to do about it?